Kahoot and Blooket. Find out the differences between these two popular game shows for the classroom now. So if you're watching this video, you probably already know what Kahoot is and Blooket, but just in case you don't, quick overview would be Kahoot uses multiple choice questions that students can pick from, and they're given points if they're correct, and then the number of points is determined by how quickly they answer the question. Whereas Blooket uses multiple choice questions, yes, but the students are also playing an additional strategy game at the same time. So when the students answer these questions correctly, it earns them points or money or items. It all depends on the game mode. So these two are similar where they're both game shows, but they're very different, and different enough to where you'll want to know the difference as a teacher and when you should use one over the other. So let's get into the nitty-gritty, and then be on the lookout for this exclamation point throughout the video. This will indicate a major difference between the two platforms, which will help you choose which one you should use. In this comparison video, we're going to cover these 7 different areas. So everything from game access and game play to all the different settings, creation, question, answer settings, data and collaborations. And then of course, at the end, when would you choose to use Kahoot or when would you choose to use Blooket? For the game access comparison, pretty similar here between Kahoot and Blooket. They both can join by code. You can also join by account. There is not an app available for Blooket, but you certainly can join using an internet browser, so that isn't really a setback. They just don't have an app, although when you go into the App Store or Google Play Store, there is an app that looks like it will play Blooket, and it's not the Blooket app. It will not play the game, so don't get tricked. You can play with anonymous players with both, and then for Kahoot, you're allowed 50 free players, and Blooket, you're allowed 60 free players. And I also list the stats for some of the paid features too, just in case that's something that you would like to do, but most often I focus on free features and free tools for teachers, so you will see a check mark in these comparison pictures if it is a free feature and anyone can use it. And then I'll give it a star if it's a premium feature that it is available, but you have to pay. And then of course the X, it's not available at all. For gameplay, we see quite a few notable differences. The first one being game modes. Kahoot has 2 general game modes that you can access for free. And recently they've added more game modes that are free for a limited amount of time. I don't know how long they will be free for. They do seem very similar to the Blooket modes. So that would be really cool if Kahoot could continue offering some of those game modes for free. But basically with Kahoot, you have the classic mode and then you have the team mode. Blooket has 14 game modes at the time of this recording. So these game modes are all different types of strategy games. So basically you will select the set of questions that you want the students to be learning about, and then you will select a game mode for Blooket. So this is a notable difference because you have to decide if you're going to use the traditional game show way of Kahoot, where they get questions and they get answers and there's a leaderboard and the fastest one that's correct gets the most points, or if you're going to have them do a strategic game while answering the questions. Moving along in the list, you can play as a team, you can assign homework, and you can play live with both Kahoot and Blooket. Another notable difference is with Kahoot, you cannot steal points. And with Blooket, there are some strategy games where students can steal points from other students, and that gets to be a lot of fun. And just a little teacher tip here, if you are using a Blooket strategy game where they can steal points from other players like Gold Chest, you can make the student's name anonymous, so students do not have to know who they are stealing from or switching places with when they choose that anonymous name to steal from. So this ensures that there is no targeting of any specific players, and students are choosing to steal or switch places with depending upon the leaderboard of who's in the lead or who has the most points instead of the student's name. Now, by all means, if you have a class that can handle some friendly competition, that's great. Then you can keep their names in there and they can sign in and play with their own names. I've seen it work well both ways. So just cater to this setting depending upon your class dynamic. The last notable difference with gameplay is the game pace. So with Kahoot, it is teacher-led. The teacher clicks and advances to the next question. Whereas Blooket is student-led. Students answer questions, they either get them right and then they advance with their strategy game, or they get it wrong and then it needs to sit for a few seconds while they see the correct answer, and then they'll get another question. So teacher-led with Kahoot, Blooket is student-led. This is definitely a notable difference when you're deciding which tool to use. If you want each question to pop up, students answer, and then you're able to teach more or talk about that question and its answer, then you're definitely going to want to use Kahoot. If you want students to just be able to answer the questions freely and you don't need to teach in between and you'll look at the data later, then it can be student-led with Blooket. So this is definitely a notable difference. The next set of differences is all about when you actually create a Kahoot and a Blooket. So can you import questions? Yes, you can with both. Now, can you duplicate question sets and questions? You can with both, but Kahoot is free. Blooket, this is a premium feature, and this is also a notable difference because a lot of times we are using Kahoots and Blookets that we didn't create ourselves, that other teachers created, and we are able to just use them. So with both of them, you are able to still use other teachers' Kahoots and Blookets, but if you want to duplicate the question set and the questions and make it your own, let's say you went through the questions and you're like, you know what, we haven't really got to questions 7, 8, and 9, and I need to delete those, or I need to change this one to have a couple more questions that we went through with this lesson, and it doesn't have exactly what I want, but it's a really good start. You're going to be able to duplicate that question set with Kahoot and edit it. You're going to be able to just grab it from where it's at and change as you wish to. Whereas Blooket, you have to do that as a premium feature. So definitely a notable difference on this one. Do you want to be able to edit other people's question sets? Another creation setting is, can you merge question sets? With Kahoot, you cannot. And with Blooket, this is a premium feature. So we could look at 3 different question sets that teachers have created, and we could bring all 3 of those question sets together into one Blooket game. A big notable difference with these creation settings is, can you add a teaching slide? And Kahoot, you can. Blooket, you can't. So I really like that you're able to add these teaching slides now with Kahoot. It's a relatively new feature, and it's great to add that interactivity into a lesson. So you can be teaching a few slides and then a question pops up where students need to answer, just like they would with Kahoot. And then you could teach some more slides and then a question comes up. So that's really cool. With Blooket, you cannot do that because remember, it is student-led. And the last creation setting is, can you group sets of games together in any way for organization? And Kahoot does this as a free feature. They call it courses, whereas Blooket has folders, and that is a premium feature. Different type of question settings. So can you use pre-made question sets? Yes. Can you use pictures as questions? Yes. Can you use puzzle questions? Kahoot, it's a premium feature. And Blooket, there are no puzzle questions, just multiple choice. Are there audio questions available? In the app, yes, you get this as a free feature. If you want to create your own audio questions, then this is a premium feature with Kahoot. It is also a premium feature with Blooket. For the question lengths, Kahoot question lengths can be 5 seconds to 4 minutes long. So this is how long we're leaving the question open for the student to be able to answer. And for Blooket, they are 1 second to 5 minutes long. For answer setting options, I broke this down. So if you want to use multiple correct answers, so if you have 4 questions and 2 of them could be accepted as the correct answer, and you find a set of questions that another teacher already created with a Kahoot, you can play that existing Kahoot and the students can answer multiple correct answers. So you can play existing. If you want to create your own question sets where there are multiple correct answers, that's a premium feature. With Blooket, it's also a premium feature. If you want to be able to type in answers or have polling options, these are not options for Blooket. Again, for Kahoot, you can play, if somebody already has that set up inside of one of their Kahoots, you can play existing. If you want to create your own and have type-in answers or polling options, that is a premium feature. You'll need to pay for that. The next answer setting is pictures as answers. And this is a big notable setting. And the reason that it's a big notable difference is because for younger learners, we use pictures a lot instead of words. And so if you are using these tools for younger learners, then Kahoot may be a better option because you can use pictures as answers for free with Kahoot. Blooket does not have that option. Remember when we talked about the question settings? You could use pictures as questions for both, but you cannot use pictures as answers for Blooket, only for Kahoot. I am really excited about this next answer setting because Kahoot has made a change with this. They've added this setting where you can have answers displayed on student devices instead of them having to look up on the board to see the answer and then look down at their device to make their selection. Used to not be available. Now Kahoot has made that as an answer setting, and Blooket, that is the only option to look at the student device and make the answer selection. For data and collaboration, you can get class data for free with both. For individual data, this is definitely a notable difference. Kahoot will give you more specific individual data after they've played the game. Blooket will give you individual data, but it is a premium feature to give you even more specifics. On Kahoot and Blooket, there is a leaderboard. And then for these last three, only Kahoot has them as free features, whereas Blooket does not have them available. Get educator collaboration, get sponsored content from Disney and other brands. And then you're also able to connect quickly with a learning management system where you can just assign a Kahoot through, say, Google Classroom really quickly. So when are we going to use Kahoot and when are we going to use Blooket? These are just my suggestions. For formative assessment, when you just need to know that your students understand the material quickly for a lesson or a topic, then either of these could work as a formative assessment. For a summative assessment, I would suggest Kahoot because you're able to get more of that detailed data. And it's also a teacher-paced activity where there's no other distractions of a strategy game going on. You just need to know that students know and understand the material. So I would go with Kahoot on a summative assessment. If you're going to do a weekly challenge, I would suggest using Blooket. You could pick a question set and leave it open for the whole week on the topic that you are learning about. And students could go in whenever they want, let's say after they're done with their work or at home, and they can play the Blooket game while constantly reviewing the things that you're learning in school and trying to improve their score while playing the strategy game. So we create a little classroom competition using this weekly challenge while also having students continually learning about the topics that we are learning in school. So that could be really cool with Blooket. If you're going to assign for homework, then I would use Kahoot. Or if you want to teach while you're playing the game, then you definitely want to choose Kahoot. If you're looking to engage struggling learners, I would lean towards Blooket. There are certain game modes that at any time, students of all academic levels can be winners. So they could get an answer correct and they could open up a gold chest that has switch places with the leader with 10 seconds left to go. And all of a sudden they go from towards the bottom of the list on the leaderboard all the way up to the top. And now they are winning the game. So it gives them that motivation to get the answers correct, to be able to open up a chest, and they could be at the top of the leaderboard. So anyone at any time has a chance to win. And then the famous question, what do I do when I'm done? I would have these Blookets available to play either with your weekly challenge or have one open for the day, and that's what they can do when they are done. It is answering questions, but it's also getting to play that strategy game. And then there are enough of the game modes that you can be switching out different game modes so that excitement and that engagement doesn't get overused, and they're excited to play those games and learn more about the topics. So in summary of the two, there's definitely things that I really like about Kahoot, and there's things that I really like about Blooket, and it just depends on what you're trying to use it for. I love Kahoot because they've made it more like a lesson now where you can get those slides in there and teach. And you also have that interaction of a Kahoot game going on at the same time. You can also copy and edit other Kahoots for free, which is huge because we want to be able to customize those Kahoots. You'll also notice that Kahoot is, I'll say, more mature. It's been around longer. It's going to have those, extra little glitches worked out, and it runs really seamlessly. I have had before where we've had to troubleshoot some Blooket games, and I know they're a young tool, I'll call them. And so they're working on those and they're trying to make that better. So I will say that Kahoot is a little more mature in that way, maybe less troubleshooting, but Blooket is definitely still a very strong tool, and they're working to continually make it better. So my favorite thing about Blooket is that with the game modes, like I've said before, you can get any academic level student winning the game at any time, depending upon the game mode that you play. So it appeals to everyone. Everybody has a chance. And I also like that they're really similar to popular games that our students are already playing. And they're learning our material that we're teaching in the classroom while they're playing the game. And who doesn't love a strategy game, right? So as teachers, it's just a win because we are getting them to answer questions about the things we're talking about and teaching them in the classroom. And then they're getting to play the strategy game at the same time. So Kahoot and Blooket, you can't go wrong with either of them. Please let me know in the comments below what you use Kahoot and Blooket for, and if you have a favorite. Also, let me know if you have any questions about these two or any differences that you found that would be good for all of us to know. Please consider subscribing to my channel and liking this video so it can be shared with other educators around the world. If you're looking for more free tech tools, then you're going to want to stay tuned to the next video. That's all about free tech tools for the classroom.